I love, love, love being a mom. I love it all. Actually, that's a lie. I like most of it all. Having a family is crazy and chaotic and incredibly intense. Family life showcases the full range of humanity on a minute to minute basis. And it is by far the best school I have ever attended. Welcome to the Parenting Dare podcast. My name is Lori Dorneman. In the background, I have my son,
Hey, I'm over here.
Eric, sipping coffee. And I'm actually going to ask him to come on in just a little bit here. But I'm a mom of 8, and 3 of my children are grown, and they've flown out of this nest. And today, I'm going to talk to you about my 4th baby bird's flight into the big wide world. So as a senior in high school, my Matthew was enamored by the idea of serving his country. And as a mother, I was like so stumped by that. He was an honor student, so why would the military hold any, interest for that? So I kind of thought the military was kind of for hard cases, and I just didn't understand. He was a smart kid, and he worked diligently to maintain a high GPA, and he was going after all these scholarships that, WSU, Wichita State University, offered, and he achieved them. Yay. So the military, I thought it was just like a phase. And then the moment happened. Oh, my stars. So we were in Howells, Nebraska, at the burial site of my hardworking and truly kind father-in-law, Reuben Dorneman. And Reuben had passed away from heart failure on October 2nd, 2017. So because of Reuben's service in the Air Force, he flew 27 missions in the Korean War as a right gunner on the B-52 bomber. He was B-20, what did I say?
52.
Oh, on the B-29 bomber. He received a funeral with military honor. And I'm just telling you guys, we were all watching so intensely, and our hearts and our minds were just so engaged in this as 2 honor guards removed the United States flag from Reuben's casket, and with great care they folded it. And they presented it to my mother-in-law with these powerful words. On behalf of the President of the United States Air Force, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service. Oh. There was a military gun salute, and then taps were played. That was the moment. As Reuben Dorneman's body was laid to rest, where his grandson, Matthew, that's where his desire to serve our country was fully born. And after that weekend, I began to listen, like really listen to my kid's heart. And he said, Mom, I've been given so many opportunities in this life. He told me how he was, at this great high school, and he has a 2-parent family, and he has strong siblings that are making an impact in the world. And he's like, Mom, I see what they're doing, and I have all this drive and this energy, and I want to use it for a cause bigger than myself. Just going to college isn't enough. Oh my gosh. I want to learn and grow, beyond that. And you guys, when my son told me that was my moment. And I realized this was so much bigger than my kid, and it was bigger than me. Mama Bear is bigger than me. So after some really serious conversations with several friends, Matthew changed from Navy Reserves to Air Force Reserves. And he took the ASVAB test. And, you might ask me, what's ASVAB mean? Who knows? I'm telling you, the military is a whole new world with these words that aren't really words. It's like this whole new language. And I have since learned that there are DoD approved, which is the Department of Defense acronyms, and they're supplied by the OSDJS, which is the Office of the Secretary of Defense and Joint Staff. So there's those approved words, and then there's a whole other linguistic world, and it's in the rank and file of every branch of the military. And I'm telling you, they like the F word a lot. So because of restructuring within the Air Force, Matthew was told that it would be 6 months before he would go to BMT, basic military training. So he used that time to work out. So he put a CrossFit gym in our garage, and he also used that time to drive me flipping crazy. So And I say that because I was used to like my sacred spaces. Like there was
no more kids in the house.
Yeah, I was by myself and I had this graduated, very large child like walking through my house all the time. Like I was having some quiet time and he was always there. Yeah, but we survived. And so right before Thanksgiving, Matthew flew to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas for basic training. And after 8.5 weeks, he graduated with honors on Thursday, January 17th, 2018. And my husband and I, we drove down with our 4 littles to San Antonio, and we spent the weekend with our kid. It was so awesome. So first of all, we pulled up, and there's 2 guys walking towards us, and I'm thinking, is that Matt? Like I didn't recognize him. And Bridget's like, I don't know, is it him? And he was wearing his ABU, which is his Airman Battle Uniform, he told me later. And another thing I learned is the Air Force is slowly changing to this OCP, which is more of a camouflage pattern. Like, it's so interesting. This is a big deal. It takes a lot of years and a lot of money to change uniforms for a whole sect of the military, but that's what they're doing. It's going to be more like the Army. So he had on this hat, which covered his bald head, and he had these black glasses on. And here is the funny thing. His glasses, like, they weren't the glasses that we had purchased for him at one time. They were these standard, like, just black glasses. And the military, gives them out. But at least they weren't BSGs, which is BCGs.
Did you type it wrong?
I don't even have the right acronym.
Oh, that's really
BCGs are birth control glasses. That's what they're called.
Why are they called that?
Because they were really, really thick and ugly, and they called them BCGs. Birth control glasses.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, when I say it's a whole new world, it's a whole new world. And he was the FNG, which is the effing new guy. That's what he was. That's what they called him, the FNG. All right.
That's really funny.
So after we hugged our FNG, we took him into our vehicle and we drove around this Air Force base, and we asked him to direct our path. And he just looked around as we drove, and he's like, I have no idea. I march everywhere. So that became the QOTD.
What is that?
Quote of the day. So, like, I had never been on an Air Force base, at any type of base, and I was stunned at the size of it. It was like its own city. It had schools, churches, a grocery store, commissary, and then there was Starbucks, in the mall, and there was a movie theater. It was just, like, so cool. Have you ever been on a base? It was really, really cool. So one thing that Matthew appreciated is we gave him time to nap, because I asked him, like, what do you need? And he goes, I have had no downtime. So, we fed him, and the kid ate. He had 5 meals. We went to Cracker Barrel, and he just kept eating. We were just stunned at how much he ate, and they accidentally gave us a whole extra meal. He ate the whole thing.
I called it, when I was in college, I called it the pit. And it wasn't every meal,
Oh,
but sometimes
my
I would
gosh.
eat, and I could just put everything down.
Well, there was literally 5 plates.
Yeah.
I was
You
like,
texted me the picture.
oh, it was crazy. So we also went sightseeing. And the other thing that was interesting about Matt, he drank water continually. He drank tons of water. And we all commented on it, because every time he sat down, he had a full glass of water, which he drank. And he said the military, it's a requirement. Isn't that interesting?
That your pee's clear?
Well, he said that's what keeps everybody healthy. And
Interesting.
so he looked at my water bottle, which was 20 ounces, and he goes, we have to drink one of those an hour. Which I probably, his water bottle looked a little less than that, maybe 15.
How often do they go on pee breaks?
And he said, I asked him that. I'm like, are you urinating all the time? And he goes, yeah, like left and right. Like everybody just goes out of rank and they just pee. That's just part of it.
Oh, that's funny.
I know. But it did inspire me, because my water intake is way up since I've been with Matt. Literally. And then we asked him, like, all these questions, and he so bizarre. He enjoyed boot camp.
He fits in perfectly. He's such an oddball.
He's
so
not an
great.
oddball. He's
What?
just precise.
I love him.
He does not fit in our house.
He's different. He fits there perfectly.
He fits there perfectly. And Matthew, you fit into our house, honey. That's not what I mean. But
FedEx.
stop. But he said that he was totally ready for the PFT, physical fitness test. And I think he did like 87 push-ups in a minute or something.
He called me and told me. It was in the
Is it 80?
80s or 90s. And I was like, first of all, not humanly possible, so stop lying to me. He goes, literally?
Yeah.
I've lived and breathed push-ups for like the last several months. He goes, I actually did it. And I was like,
Yeah, he was crazy.
jeez.
And then he had this dress uniform. It was dark navy. It was so beautiful. And I was impressed by this one fact. His shirt never untucked in the slightest. And then he started laughing. He goes, well, there's a trick to it, Mom. And they had suspenders from the bottom of their shirt down to their socks.
Oh, that's, wow.
So just watching him like bend over to try to get his shoes on cracked me up because he had these suspenders in his pants.
He's yanking his shirt down.
Yeah. And one of the guys, probably another FNG, had a suspender pop off the socks and it snapped him in the nether regions. Like,
So they're like tight.
yeah. So he just thought it was kind of funny. He had to be really careful. And then he told me about these guys who made really bad choices. Oh my gosh, like really bad choices of what they did with their behaviors. And so what the Air Force does, they either excuse them, they send them home, or they recycle them, which means, like, let's say that they had 8 weeks of training. Now they have another extra week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of extra training.
Wow.
It's crazy. I mean, I won't even say what the boys did to get 4 weeks, but it was bad. And he learned how to make a bed, and he learned how to eat quickly. He was only given 10 minutes per meal at the DFAC. Don't know what that means, but that's where they ate. And then he learned to fall asleep every night around 9 o'clock. They had to go to bed, and he's 6'4", and his bed was only a 6-foot bed. So he had a terrible pillow. He's like, if the pillow fell off, it was the same as if it was on the bed. And then there was like 30 snoring men in this little really nasty kind of looking room. But that's where he slept. And he also learned to operate on very little sleep because several times a week he had to be on guard for 2 hours in the dead of night. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And he goes, well, they would wake him up and from like 2 to 4, he would just stand guard. And I'm like, geez. And he did get in trouble once. And they were marching over this hill. And he says, like, the sunrise was spectacular. And he commented on it. And the MTI, which is military training instructor, yelled at him, "Tournament, what's so important?" And he goes, "Just coming on the sunrise, sir." So
There's no fruity crap here.
yeah, this is so funny. And then when he had free time, which is very rare, they just studied their big book, which is the BMT DG, whatever that is. And as he told me about all this at the BMT, the basic military training, he was just full of pride. And the thing is, I thought of as a mom, he went before Thanksgiving and he was there over Christmas. He could not receive any packages and he could only call every so often. And so I just said, it was more of a serious time when just him and I were talking. I go, what got you through that? And his answer totally surprised me. So before he flew to San Antonio, he received a text from Big Brother Eric. And Eric, would you mind, could you share this?
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of important.
I would just sit there.
You're gonna
come over here.
Okay. So this is the text that Eric sent Matthew.
Right when he was leaving. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, the unknown is often portrayed as the night. You cannot see where it goes or what is coming. It is what the future holds, and it can be scary, unknown in nature. Use it. It will be your greatest strength. Grab it by the throat and make the world of it, or it will consume you. Run, Matthew, run. Do not go gently into the dark night. Love you so much. The biggest bro. That gives me shivers. Like I wrote that in a restaurant and like started crying when I sent it off, and the waitress like came because like I was out of coffee or something, and she was like, "Are you okay? You need coffee?" And I just like looked at her, just like tears everywhere. She goes, "I'll come back."
Well, and thank you for sharing that, Eric. And
Yeah.
And Matt said, "Mom, this got me through." And he goes, he couldn't have his phone very often, so it was more in his heart. But when he had his phone, he would reread it. And he just said it gave him guts and courage to go on. And I was reading this book by Bill Johnson called Raising Giant Killers, and really just raising kids who are kick ass. And and in it has this example of hope, because as parents, we understand the eternal, and that's our kingdom, is that hope, and we have to portray that hope. And he had the story of this scientist who had a rat that was swimming in this pool of water, this circulating water, and the rat would last for 15 minutes. However, if they took the rat out and for a moment and then put it back in, that rat could last 60 hours. And what the scientists concluded is that reprieve, that hope, that rat basically had an understanding that they could be saved. And that hope is what kept them dog paddling, I guess.
Literally until they died of exhaustion.
Yeah, from 15 minutes to 60 hours. And so that's what your text gave your brother too, is that sense of hope.
It's crazy how like something so small can mean so much. And
Right.
It's just like,
right. And so
I don't know. There was a lot of like underlying, like, I love the kids so much. And it's like, I just, oh man. So there's a lot, like him and I had talked the previous 2 days a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that just summarized our whole conversations those 2 days.
Mm.
And so he like, I know it wasn't just those texts. It was like the relationship we had as he left.
Mm. And I guess I want to encourage, parents, like if you have a nephew or a niece or, someone who is going to go do hard things, to build into them, number one, and then to give them that hope of, that you see them and that you kind of declare who they are in front of them. So I love that, Eric, so much.
Thank you.
And so, all right, the next step. All right, so right now, Matthew is at Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls for his tech school, and he's learning about jet engines and propulsion or something like that. And then he's going to hang out in Wichita and work at McConnell Air Force Base when he gets back in 2 months. And then he's going to go to Wichita State University in the fall, except, of course, he wants to be deployed. It's just so funny. And when he's telling me he wants to be deployed, that's when I just sat there and I'm like, okay, this mama thing was easier when I could order you around, child. And my older kids keep doing these things. And so I am super proud of them. Each one of my children, I'm so proud of them. But it's just funny how incredibly unpredictable life becomes when these little people become big people and they're able to make their own decisions about life. So how do you handle that without breaking down into like a million pieces, as a blubbering mama? First of all, have more kids. And I mean that so sincerely. I drop off children at kindergarten, first day of kindergarten, and all these mothers are crying and they're just going into despair. And I'm thinking, you need more children. So that's one piece of the pie. But the other thing is our children, as we raise them to adults, they're supposed to operate independently of us. And that's the whole point of mothering. And is it easy? No, like hell no. It's like the craziest, most radically faith-filled thing that I have ever done, releasing my kids. And I'm just grateful, so grateful that I've learned over the years how to implement good self-care, and I kid you not. And you can read more about that in this post, Your Child Deserves the Best Version of You, where I really go into different types of self-care that have really gotten me through these hard times. So thank you for listening. And Eric, thank you for your input. I appreciate you.
Love you.
All right. Peace.
Boom. What a day to be alive.
What a day to be alive.